Hello, welcome to the channel. So, bit of a subdued video today for Sunday. So if you're new here, this isn't normally kind of the content to do. I'm literally just going to sit down and kind of chit chat, I guess, about the aftermath of this Warner Brothers move. You know, they're putting their entire technically part of their 2020 and 2021 slate on HBO Max, and a lot of people have reacted now. We've got Regal owners, we've got all other theatres, we've had stock plummeting from AMC, like it is a bloodbath. So I thought I would just sit down and discuss it all, because it is mayhem. I know a lot of people are really happy about it. I, for one, am, you know, it's fine. Like I get a lot of people don't like theatres, and I get that they're very expensive, and I understand the argument against them. Like, absolutely I do. But I also really like going to the theatre. You know, I grew up with it. I like the theatre going experience when it's good and it's not massively overpriced. And I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem, is that theatre chains have taken it for granted for way too long. They have had the monopoly on movies, haven't they? Right? Let's be honest. They have quite literally had the monopoly on movie releases. They get released, they have to go to theatres first. That was the original thing. So, yeah, I think they've become very complacent, actually. Very complacent. So it's interesting. That being said, my channel keeps getting demonetized. So, hey, look, it's the festive season, and I've got some festive merch. I have the Xenomorph Christmas sweater. You can find that linked down below in the description box on the Teespring store. You can see it just actually underneath every single video. And speaking about movies and HBO and independent film and things like that, support independent film, ladies and gents. It's really important. I myself have made 2 films, and if you want to support me and my movie-going ventures, then you can find the GoFundMe link to my latest, a psychological Lovecraftian horror, down below in the description box. There's still time to donate if you want to support it. Anyway, let's check it out. So, all articles that I discussed through today will be linked down below. But this one was released shortly after the aftermath. It was 2 days ago. Regal owners react to Warner Brothers streaming move. And basically they were looking forward to deal on a proper window and terms, basically. Trying to go like, well, how do we salvage this? And a direct quote was, Warner Brothers will look to reach an agreement about the proper window and terms that will work for both sides, Cineworld said in a statement. Now, Cineworld is the UK branch of Regal, as far as I'm aware. So Regal owner Cineworld, or apparently Cineworld own Regal. Either or. Cineworld Group has reacted to Warner Brothers' move to shift its entire 2021 slate of films. It is really important to note that this is the 2020 slate as well. There's movies that are releasing this year that are now no longer releasing this year. They're going straight to HBO Max as well. So their statement was, Cineworld was aware of Warner Brothers' plan to release Wonder Woman directly to its streaming service, which has been announced at a time when our cinemas remain closed in the US and the UK. Which sucks, but they didn't really adapt properly, I don't think. I myself live in between 2 locations. So I live in like a really small village in the countryside outside London. And then I've got over to the west of me, I have an Empire cinema as well as some others. And to the east of me in another town, I have View and things like that. And then north, there's like a Cineworld. But the only one that stayed afloat actually releasing films during this entire time was the Empire. I've seen some epic films during this time, actually. I watched Akira on the big screen. I watched The Shining on the big screen. I've had some really good times. So they will continuously get my money, I think, because they've managed to adapt. And that's the problem, is I think a lot of these companies rested on their laurels and just thought, well, no, we can only sell blockbusters. Why should we stoop to re-releases? But re-releases are good. So I think they do only have themselves to blame for a certain amount anyway. Now anyway, Cineworld then looked to the promise of a coronavirus vaccine and the return of audiences in big numbers to the local multiplex post-pandemic. That's part of the problem right there, is they talk about the multiplex, these big cinemas that are basically malls. They're too big. Downsize. Seriously, you need to downsize. I know rental rates are high, especially in the UK. Rental rates are massive, but there must be a way of downsizing so like they're not so big, but you still have the certain number of screens and things like that. Because realistically, you're charging so much because you've got so much rent to cover. It's just too much. People can't afford to pay it, especially now moving into this post, nonsense. So they say, look, we believe that at such a time Warner Brothers will look to reach an agreement about the proper window and terms that will work for both sides. Big movies are made for the big screen, and we cannot wait to reopen our cinemas in Q1 in order to offer our customers, as always, the best place to watch the movie. So that was their sort of statement about it. But then we got this one. So mixed reactions, at best. Mixed is a good way to put it, right? So we had AMC, okay, the outspoken CEO, Adam Aaron, pretty subdued, but then they've reacted in their own way because they have literally had to sell up to 200 million shares, or they're looking to anyway. That's mental. Why are they doing that? Well, because they're going under. And then this news is going to put them under even further. Massive strain. Huge strain, in fact. Yeah. Not a small amount to sell up, is it? Let's be honest. So going back to this one anyway. So while some exhibition communities had a sense that a major announcement was coming from Warner's, most didn't learn of the drastic move until the statement went out. Sources tell The Hollywood Reporter that the bold initiative, orchestrated by Warner Media CEO Jason Kilar, was kept close to the vest on the Burbank lot. Since joining Warner Media in May, the former Hulu chief has undertaken a significant restructuring of the AT&T division to prioritise its streaming bet HBO Max and grow its subscriber base. And that's predominantly what a lot of this is. That's floundering a lot. So, statement is, at the very least anyway, so we said AMC, right, the country's largest theatre circuit, said it signed on to the studio's previously unveiled plan to do a day and date release of Wonder Woman. That's fine, but going forward is another matter. Clearly, Warner Media intends to sacrifice a considerable portion of the profitability of its movie studio division and that of its production partners and filmmakers to subsidise its HBO Max startup. As for AMC, we will do all in our power to ensure that Warner does not do so at our expense. We will aggressively pursue economic terms that preserve our business. Immediate and urgent dialogue with the leadership of Warner on this subject. That is fighting talk. So not only, obviously AMC selling 200 million shares is insane, but this is fighting talk because what he's doing here, the CEO, is calling out. He's calling them out. Right? Now, he's categorically saying, you're going to lose this. And anyone who's financed these things needs to be wary. He's trying to get them on his side so they coerce Warner, obviously all of the producers and stuff, to then do a quick 180 or at least a semi 180 so they can release it in theatres a bit quicker or for longer or whatever. And it's quite smart actually. It's really, really smart. Now, interestingly, they do note, insiders say that AMC is receiving 60% to 65% of Wonder Woman US ticket sales. That's average. The studio receives around 60% take on tentpoles, but that is about average. But they change the date at which that kind of happens anyway. Now, Thursday's proclamation was especially surprising to Hollywood and exhibitors since it encompasses the entirety of Warner's 2021 slate and 2020. Really important to note that. Now, we had some comments by Toby Emmerich. Not really any point talking about that. We have the response by Cineworld. We've already covered that. Absolutely. And then we have this. After Warner's announcement, the exhibition sector took a further beating on Wall Street on Thursday. They slumped massively. And AMC, which disclosed it would be selling 200 million shares in the hopes of improving its liquidity, saw its stock fall some 16% by the close of the market. Cinemark, the third largest theatre chain in the US, finished the day down 21%, while IMAX slid 8%. It's just bombing. This could genuinely be the death of theatres, which sucks. I don't want that ever. And then we get some, some people just talking about it and stuff like that. But I just think it's a shame. It is a shame. We've seen this, and Hollywood Reporter document this quite nicely here. So they talk about Trolls World Tour by Universal. Do you remember when AMC threatened Universal? They're like, well, we're not stocking any of your movies then. And I was like, that is big balls there. That's some big ball activity, what you're doing. That's some big threats. I knew it would come to bite them in the arse. I said something to that effect. Anyway. Oh, that's a shame. So anyway, there you go. There's just sort of a more subdued, chatty format, I guess, for this type of content. What do you think, guys? Love to hear your thoughts, because I've covered this a few times, but it does look like... Look, let's put it this way. If things continue for theatre chains down this path, they're done. They are categorically done. So that would be a shame, I think. But in doing so, indie theatre chains would definitely pop up. And there's some big indie theatre chains actually in the UK. I say big indie, that doesn't really make sense, but you know what I mean. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with them anyway. So let me know your thoughts down below. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Hope you're all having a great weekend, guys. Thanks so much. Take care.